Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we are going through my yarn stash. Hello and welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, I am so glad you could join me again. Today, as I mentioned before, we are going through all of this. I have a lot of yarn and I asked you guys what kind of video you would like to see, and almost everyone said that you would like to see the yarn and the project I have planned for it, which will be a fairly long video. I don't know how long it will actually be, but as you can see, my yarn stash is quite substantial, even though I only moved recently and I did sort through some of the yarn that I have. I have a lot and I have bought even more. So without further ado, I think we can get straight into the video and start with my setup and pick all of this yarn out of the shelf and put it on the floor so we can see what we have. So this is the setup that I have. I just created my own Excel spreadsheet at the beginning of the year, and here I have my yarn. The first section, I have them kind of in sections. The first one is drops, so I put the name of the drops yarn that I have, the quantity, the meterage, the gauge, any projects if I have plans for it, and then I have a column here for if I already have it in stash or had it in stash before I started the list, things that have gone out of stash and have gone in. Out is obviously very good, that's why it's green here, and in is very bad because that means I bought some yarn. So that is the general setup that I have. Very simple. As I said, I have a lot of drops yarn, which is why I created the own category. The next one is Mohair. I have all of my Mohair here. Then Sandesgarn, because I also have a lot. We are knitters, knitting for Olive. Then the Woolyknit. This is a bit difficult for me to count because I do have the cones, and for the quantity I just said one cone because I don't really know the amount of meters that you get in one cone for sure. And then I have the odds, which means just any yarn that is not in the categories before that I mentioned, any new yarn that I would like to try. I probably have to create a new one with Filcolana because I have quite a lot of it now, but I will worry about that another time. And then I have a section for hand dyed, which is very important for me because obviously that is the really special yarn. And then I have sock yarn, which is more like willy-nilly, like it's not super accurate and yeah, just to give me an overview. And then at the bottom here I have some at the beginning of 2023, just so I know with what I started, because I do plan on having a graph at the end of 2023 to see how much yarn I bought, how much yarn I actually used, etc. So that is what it looks like, and let's pull out all of the yarn. So this is all of my yarn. That is a lot of yarn, but now the shelf is completely clear. This is what it actually looks like. I put one of those sticky foils on the back because I thought it would look nice, but because I have so much yarn you can't really see the background anyways, so I guess I just have to use up a lot of my yarn. I don't know, but I will show you the lavender sashes that I have because I think that's also quite funny. This is all of the lavender that I pulled out because I was so scared that moths would eat it, so I really stocked up on lavender, and all of this was in all of these. You know, I might have a yarn problem. Yeah. Oops. I will now go through the patterns that I have in mind for all of the yarn that I have. I will not really go in depth with the pattern. I'm going to try and insert pictures and put everything in the description down below, just because I have so much yarn that I think it will take literally 5 hours if I would also talk a lot about the pattern that I have in mind for the yarn. So I think that is just the best idea that I could come up with, and we should get started, so this video also won't be 5 years long. So I'm just gonna go through the top of my list from my Excel spreadsheet, because I think that is also the easiest to keep track of. And the first thing that I have is this Drops alpaca. It is 100% alpaca, I believe. Yes, 167 meters, stitch gauge is 24 stitches, and I actually made another video with this yarn when I used to crochet. I made my own sweater, and I recently unraveled that because I just could not wear it. So I have almost the whole quantity of this yarn, and I was thinking I could make a novice sweater by Petite knit. I think that might be a good fit. I really just don't know what else to do with this yarn. It is very silky, very drapey, very soft, and it doesn't really have a lot of strength, so anything with cables is kind of a no-go because it will just stretch to infinity. The next yarn is Drops, and I have a few different colors of this because I want to make the mistletoe muse by Drops design. That was the intention. So I have color 2, 25, 22, 5, oh god, 7, 29, 30 and 26. So as you can see, a lot of these colours are not just a single colour, they have like some variation in it. And I just bought the yarn because it was a recommended yarn for the pattern. I wanted to also keep the exact same colours as the pattern had it in it. I think just this red is different. Colour 25, I think the pattern recommends a different one, but when I bought the yarn I didn't have it in stock. I really want the sweater because I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's an all over colourwork sweater, but I'm having such big troubles with Drops design that I'm not sure if I still want to make the sweater. I might keep the pattern and just create my own design, so I know it will actually fit me, but with the design of Drops Garn Studio design. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know when I will do that because I am, yeah, the company when it comes to the patterns is not the best. I'm not going to go in detail with it, but there's a lot of debate going on and I'm fully here for that. So I am a bit unsure what to do with the yarn because I do like the pattern, I do like the design, should I say, but I can't really make anything else because it's all just like single skeins of quite odd colours. So that is at least the plan. I'm gonna leave it at that. The next yarn that I have is Drops Charisma. As you know, and as you've seen as well, I have a lot of this yarn because I do really like working with it. I think it's very affordable. This is just the standard natural colour, number 1. And for this I want to make the Moby sweater. I have Philcolline Ateliers Mohair in just a white as well, and I think those two would pair nicely together. And I want to start this fairly soon as well because I really like the design and I think it might be a really nice sweater to start my autumn knitting plans. The next one I have is Drops Puna in colour number 7. This is a 100% alpaca again, but this is the thicker version of the alpaca. Is that what it was called? Can't remember. This has a stitch gauge of 21 stitches, and with this I wanted to make the Pippin sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl. I actually swatched for this, and I showed you the swatch on my podcast videos, but I wasn't entirely happy with how the swatch turned out. I believe that this was a recommended yarn in the pattern. I could be wrong on that, but it has the same stitch gauge. But because it's alpaca, it's very loose, so the stitch looks very open, and I don't really like that in the sweater, so I'm really unsure what to do with it. I might give it a try and then see how the sweater actually turns out, and if I'm not happy I can unravel it again. But that was the plan for this. I don't know if I will actually stick with that. The next yarn is also Drops Puna, but in different colours. And you might remember also from a podcast, I said that last year I really wanted to design my own sweater. I have one of my only store-bought sweaters that I have left has this really gorgeous Scandinavian design, and I really want to recreate that because I don't really like wearing the sweater anymore because it's acrylic. So I wanted to make my own version of it with the design. I actually have the chart all drawn up and how to make it and everything. I want to use these colours, but again I'm not entirely sure if I will stick with that because of the nature of the yarn. I think a wool might actually fit better to really make the colour work pop and not be as drapey and stick more together when you work the colour work. But I do still like the colour combination. I think the colours are really nice, and I might still end up making that sweater, who knows. The next yarn that I have is Drops Cotton Merino. It is a superwash yarn in the colour 5, looks like this, and I wanted to make a summer shirt because it is a 50% cotton, 50% wool mix. Sorry, my brain wanted to say those two things at the same time. But I decided against the pattern that I actually chose for this because the size inclusivity was very, very limited. It only had like 5 sizes, and even though the pattern is absolutely gorgeous, I am just not comfortable working a shirt like that or knitting the shirt when I know there are only 5 sizes or even 4, something like that. So instead I thought I could make the April cardigan by Petite knit. I wanted to cast this on at the beginning of summer because I do really need more cardigans. I still need that desperately, even though I'm making one right now. But I think that this would actually be a good fit because it is a beigey brownie colour, and I think that would just work with a lot of my dresses that I have and be very versatile apart from summer with wearing my dresses, and more so autumn and winter as well. And now we get into the land of Drops Charisma and Alaska. This is Drops Alaska in the colour 63 and 66. This will be a self-drafted sweater. Once again, I have the chart and everything. I also calculated everything as well, but somewhere is a mistake because the numbers don't add up at the end, so I need to go back and recalculate it. But this one will be a round yoke sweater and it will be colour work. That's why I have 2 colours. Here we have Drops Charisma in the colour 54, and this will be an Ingrid sweater. I will make another Ingrid sweater. I had to unravel the last one because I ran out of yarn and it was way too big. But this time I'm going to try it with 100% wool yarn by Drops, because also I know what type of gauge I will get, because I have worked with this before, and I'm really looking forward to this. This will definitely be one of the sweaters I'm gonna make this autumn, and I'm super excited to work up the pattern again because it was so much fun the first time. And then we are at the end of, or almost at the end of, the drops yarn that I have. The last plan that I have is this Drops Bell, color number 3. It is a very nice light creamy beigey color. It's actually more cream than beige, and I really want to make the Ingrid summer sweater by My Favorite Things knitwear with this. I bought a lot of yarn. It was a plan to make that this summer. I just didn't get around to it, so maybe next year I can do that. Alright, so the next few yarns on my list are actually Mohair, so I'm just gonna pair them directly with what I'm gonna use them with. And the first one is actually this one. This is Svelkolana Arvetta. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. This is so pleasant even just to hold. I've never worked with this before. I heard so many great things about it. I also think it's quite affordable. It is a fingering weight yarn, and I want to hold it with Tin Silk Mohair by Sandnesgarn in 3041. These two together, and I want to make the Stockholm sweater by Petite Knit. I want something just really simple, yet with a very classic silhouette, and I thought that this would look really good together. I also have a swatch, so this is what it looks like together. Here we go. I think it's a very nice color. You get some grey, some brown, depending on where the light hits, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. I've never worked with Tin Silk Mohair before, but I had this in my stash for forever because when I bought it, it was on offer, and I've been trying to pair this mohair with the correct yarn, or yarn that I would like to work with it. And when I went to the yarn shop, I didn't have the yarn with me because I thought I'm sure that they would have this colour in stock and I can just grab it and compare it. But that is not what happened, so I first bought this one. This is also Svelkolana Arvetta, same composition, but this is colour 363. And as you can see, these are two completely different colours. So I bought this mohair, Svelkolana Tilia, and these are the same colours. This is also 363, so I know that they would go well together. I plan on making... I just realized this is the wrong yarn. This is the yarn that I will be pairing it with. Oops, never mind. Rewind. This is the yarn I want to pair it with. This is World of Wool Marble, 80% merino, 20% silk in a DK weight yarn. I bought this when I was in England last autumn. Really nice colour, and I'm actually gonna pair these two together because I want to make the Dawny sweater by Rebecca Clow, the Crea Bear, here on YouTube. And she recommends, or the yarn recommended is, I think, an Aran weight or a worsted weight. I'm not entirely sure, but she also holds a DK weight with a mohair. So these two, I think, would be really nice together. For this one, I actually have no plans, I just realized. I don't think I fully know what to make with it yet, because I don't have any more mohair for this, but I will probably buy this colour again, just because it is the same colour and I can't just work anything with fingering weight yarn, like that. Alright, now we are in the Sandnesgarn corner, and the first one that I have is Mandarin Petite. I bought this a little while ago, and this is colour 6072. And if you watch my podcast or the realistic summer knitting plan video, you will already know what I want to make with this. This will be the Audrey top by Petite Knit. I wanted to cast this on already, and I will probably in a few days, and I don't think there's too much to say. This is a fingering weight yarn, 100% cotton, but it's very soft and very nice to touch. I've never worked with this before, but just from the feel of it, I can already tell that it's going to be very pleasant to work with. I'm gonna hold this double because the Audrey top is a DK weight sweater, so I will have to hold it double. And like I said in the previous videos, I am short on yarn, so I'll just shorten the length of the top. At least that's the plan. I hope this will actually work out, we'll see. And speaking of Sandnesgarn, this is Sandnesgarn Sunday in the colour 6707. It is a very dark grey. It is a fingering weight yarn, 100% wool. I don't think it's superwash, at least not from what I can remember. I don't think so. 100% wool, 235 meters. This will be an Oslo hat. I have exactly 3 balls of it. These are just leftovers. I didn't buy them specifically for anything. I made a sweater out of the other ones, but now I have 3 balls left, and this is exactly the amount you will need for an Oslo hat. I just need to get round to making it maybe this summer. This might be a gift because I am not a huge grey hat fan. I've tried making the Oslo hat before. It didn't really work out. It got way too big, so I think I need to check my gauge before I even get too in depth with the pattern and everything. Otherwise I have to rip it out again, and I don't really fancy doing that. Okay, I have a few We Are Knitters yarn. I am not entirely sure what I'm gonna make with those. I find them really difficult to find a pattern for them because most of the yarn is quite thick that I have, and I don't enjoy working with such thick yarn anymore. But the first one is We Are Knitters Bamboo. This is 100% bamboo viscose, and you get 350 meters in 100 grams. It is a fingering weight yarn, I believe 26 stitches, and I have 3 balls of this. So in total I have 1050 meters. I find it really difficult to find a pattern with or for this yarn because I heard a lot about bamboo yarn and that it stretches out a lot. So I'm really worried to make something holding this single that it will just stretch out and all of the work I put into this will be wasted. I really don't want that, so I'm very hesitant to start working with this yarn. It is very soft. It is incredibly soft. If you know this yarn, you will know what I'm talking about. It's, yeah, I think the feel when you wear it will be very pleasant. So I have a few patterns in mind, but like I said, I am very hesitant to work with it. I might even, I don't know, sell it, see if someone else can do something with this yarn. The first one is the Strawberry Fields Tea. I forgot her name. It's something with an M. It starts with an M. She's French. I follow her on Instagram as well. It is a beautiful pattern. I've had my eye on this one for a while, and I wanted to make the shirt with this. But again, I am short of yarn, I think, for the smallest size, or there was something wrong with it. I can't quite remember what it was. It might be because I have to hold it double because the t-shirt is with a DK yarn width and this is just fingering. I can't quite remember, but that is the first pattern that I think would look really nice with it. And then I have the Cumulus T, which is a fingering weight pattern, and I could technically make the thing out of it. Again, it is a v-neck though, and if this stretches out and I won't be able to wear it anymore because the V is way too low because it stretched so much, I'm gonna be very sad to have put all of this effort in it, because it is for the V you do have to purl a lot. I made this once before and it is a fingering weight pattern, so I think this will just stay in my stash for a little while longer, and maybe inspiration strikes, maybe I can hold this with something else which would ease my mind. If you have worked with this yarn before, please let me know how you found it. If the garment did stretch out like everyone says with bamboo yarn that it will, I will be very interested in that, because I can't really find a lot of pattern suggestions for this yarn. So please let me know if you have any information on that. The other We Are Knitters yarn is the Petite wool. I showed this yarn once before at the very beginning of the year in my knitting resolutions video. This is color grey. It's called grey, and it's got 140 meters in 100 grams. It is 100% wool, and I believe it's like, it's a really thick yarn. The stitch gauge is 12 stitches, so I believe that's bulky already. I wanted to make the fisherkin jumper with it. It is a beautiful design. It's got cables, and you do need a really thick yarn for that one. But because I had such troubles with my sweater number 9, which I also made in the Petite wool held with the Mohair, I'm really hesitant to make this pattern with this yarn, because what happened was, even though it's just a stockinette sweater, it started to felt like crazy, and I couldn't get rid of the pills. There was a lot of pilling going on, and the fabric just kind of merged together. It was very odd. I only machine washed it once. That was not the issue. I always hand washed it before, and I noticed those kind of things, and I think it's because this yarn is only a single ply. You don't have a lot of strands, so you will have to expect pilling and felting. So I don't really want to put all of the work in for a cable knit sweater when I know this yarn might not be ideal and get really fuzzy and merge the fabric together, so you won't be able to see the details anymore. So the fisherkin jumper was the original plan for it. Now I'm leaning more towards a wrap. I see a lot of wraps at the moment. I think they are great instead of just a normal cardigan. So I could either make from My Favorite Things knitwear the, what's it called, leviate, something like that, wrap. This is also a really chunky one. Or I could make the late summer wrap by Knitting for Olive, which I'm leaning more towards, because you can tie the ties around your waist. The wrap from My Favorite Things knitwear only have a tie at the side, and you can't really pull it like tied closer because there are no ties that go through the holes or anything. So this might be in my stash for a little while longer as well, just because I'm not entirely sure if I want to make those things, and I would also have to adjust the pattern to the yarn that I have, and because I'm also short on yarn once again, make it so the yoke depth is not as deep, and I will have enough to actually finish it. We are now in my Knitting for Olive corner, and the first yarn that I have is this one. This is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in Dark Cognac. I love this colour. I actually had to buy some more because I want to make the Carina tee by Sari Nordlund. It is a beautiful t-shirt. I wasn't sure what to make with this yarn for the longest time ever, but because she also recommends this yarn in her pattern, I thought I already have 4 balls, I would just have to buy this amount more to be able to make it. And I was gonna make it this summer, but then things happened and I just wanted something really simple. But this will be the Carina tee by Sari Nordlund. It is a fingering weight yarn, so I have to hold it double, and I will make the size 2. For all of the patterns that I'm telling you about, I will probably make either size 1 or 2 because I am a petite person. I don't have a lot of bust, so that's just how it is. The next one that I have is cotton merino in Dusty Blue Whale. It is a gorgeous colour. I really like the feel of it as well. It is 70% cotton and 30% merino. This is a favourite for a lot of people. I've never worked with Knitting for Olive before. I've always wanted to, and then I bought more yarn because it just feels so nice, and I just never found the time to actually work with it. But this, I want to make the Allure camisole by... I have the picture in front of my eyes. I can't remember, but I have exactly 2 balls, 500 meters, and I think that is the amount you need. It is a fingering weight pattern though, and I've done quite a few fingering weight garments this summer, so I'm kind of sick of really thin and fiddly things, so this might be something for next year. And speaking of fingering weight projects, most of these for Knitting for Olive projects are fingering weights, just like the next one. This is the merino base. It is 100% extra fine merino in the color Putty. I really like the color. It is a bit like a dirty white. It leans to a very light grey, which I think is perfect for the pattern that I have in mind, which is the twist loop top by Other Loops. I think that's what she's called. I'm not sure about the yarn choice though, because the twist loop is a fingering weight high neck top, which if I make this out of merino will be very warm and I won't be able to wear it in summer. I've heard from a few people that made this top in a merino yarn that they wish they made it in a different yarn because the merino is just too thick to wear in summer, and I can completely agree with that. I've always had troubles wearing wool in summer as a shirt as well, so I'm really not sure, but I have bought 1 extra ball to, I believe, yes, I have bought 1 extra ball to have the correct amount of meters that I need for the shirt. It would have been better if I had this yarn, which is the cotton merino, for the twist loop, but because I don't want to have really odd quantities, I might still make it, and I don't know. That was the plan. The plan will not, it might change. We'll see. I really want the shirt, and I think that it would look really good in this white, but if I won't be able to wear it, it's kind of lost time and effort, because again, it is a fingering weight garment and that takes a long time. The next one, and I feel like we really are just going through all of Knitting for Olive bases, because this is their heavy merino base in the color Rust. It is a very nice orange. well, not orange, it's like a browny orangey colour. It's actually a bit darker than what the camera picks up. And I bought this last Christmas because I want to make the Foxberry tea. I'm not sure if I want to make the tea anymore, because I think for the having merino, the sweater might actually work better. This pattern is again by Sari Nordlund. I just realized I didn't say that. Foxberry Tea by Sari Nordlund. A beautiful design. It is a round yoke with these gorgeous bubbles down at the yoke, and it would look amazing in this yarn. But I did plan on making the tea, but later, once I had the yarn, I realized it is 100% merino, and I don't really enjoy wearing 100% wool shirts. So I might have to buy some more yarn to actually make the sweater version of it. Moving on with my Woolyknit yarn, the cones that I have, or the yarn that used to be on a cone and is now in cakes, is these two. This will be the Tuku by the Petite Knitter, not Petite Knit, the Petite Knitter, and I wanted to make this last autumn as well. This is colour number 1 in the just standard merino base, or wool base I think, from the cone, and I cannot remember the colour for the life of me. It is, I think, rust. I could be wrong. I know I had it somewhere on the sticker, and then I misplaced that sticker before I made the list. It was something along those lines. It is again a very nice reddish brown, and I think that those would look really, really good together. I wanted to keep the same colours as the pattern, and I'm not sure how much I will actually need for the white, because for the other white yarn that I have, for the rest of it I would like to make the Eclair by Laura Penrose. It is a DK weight pattern as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong on that. And this is a fingering weight yarn, so we'll have to hold it double. And because I don't know how much I will actually need for the Tuku sweater, I have to hold my horses with the Eclair, even though I really want that sweater. I mean, I always have the option to make it in a different yarn, but I think white is just really classic and would look really good, because she has a gorgeous sample of her own design in a white colour, and I thought that is just what I need. So that is the plan for those 2 or 3, should I say. And then I have another Woolyknit yarn. This is what is that? This is the shade Celtic Green in the DK weight base, I think. Again, it is the wool base. It is very rough, and I think it will just be incredible in a sweater. I really like the rough kind of wools. And this one, I want to make the Billy pullover by Sari Nordlund. As you can see, I want to make a lot of her patterns. I'm a huge fan of hers, and I have the correct yardage, or meterage should I say, because I work with meters. But I heard that the Billy pullover is kind of a yarn guzzler, so I am worried that I don't have enough yarn, even though the yardage or the meterage says I do. The problem is that I won't be able to get more of this yarn, because I bought this when I was in England last year. Once again, just like this, I had a huge Woolyknit yarn haul that I brought back with me to Austria in my suitcase, and if I can't get more of this yarn, I will be very sad if I start the Billy pullover and it also doesn't fit right, because I know it does have these gorgeous honeycombs at the front and down the sleeves, and honeycombs are known to be very restrictive, and really suck you in, so the jumper might not be as comfortable to wear as it might look. So I'm a bit hesitant. I think the jumper would look amazing in this color, which is why I bought it, but I have 5 balls of it, and if that's not enough, what am I gonna do? So I am still holding on to this. It will be a Billy pullover one day, but maybe once I have a bit more cables under my belt and not have to dive in to this pattern, because honeycombs are not my favorite to work because they just take such a long time and they're not great for my wrists, so I will just leave it at that for now. Now I have a few odd balls, I like to call them. The first one is something you've seen before. This is Sole by Pascali, a cotton cashmere blend. I showed this in my last, or my second to last podcast episode. This is color 77, a really nice color. And this will be the Mala top by Sari Nordlund. I only bought this yarn recently, like I just said, and the top pattern also isn't very old either, but when I saw it I knew I had to make this top, and I think it will be very versatile, not only in summer but also in like autumn, because it's more of a vest type than an actual t-shirt. And I want the finished product, but I am just a bit hesitant to cast it on because it looks very intricate and a lot of work, and at the moment I just want fairly simple things with not a lot of brain power, not a lot of charts that I have to look at. So we'll see when I'm gonna cast this on. And speaking of Sari Nordlund, I have this cotton 8x8. I have no idea how you pronounce that or how you say that. It is 100% cotton yarn, and the company is Mayflower. I've never worked with this before. I bought this on a whim, really, when I placed a really big yarn order back in March, April, something like that. This is the color 1928, and it is a DK weight. 20 stitches is the stitch gauge. This will be the Piazza Tee by Sari Nordlund, something that I've also really wanted to make this year, but just the charts feel very intimidating, even though I know that they might not be as bad as I think they will be. But I bought this yarn specifically for that pattern, so it will turn into that eventually. The next yarn is something I also bought in England last year. This is Stylecraft Naturals, a bamboo and cotton blend. 60% bamboo, 40% cotton, in this really nice light pink. It's a bit like a dirty pink as well. And this is a thin DK, more like a sport weight, 22 stitches. And the color is 7154 pumice. Is that what it's called? I'm not sure. I don't even know what that means. But this I have 2 of, and let me just check. I want to make the Remy camisole by Kadri. That is the name that I couldn't remember before. Remy camisole by Kadri. It is a very nice top. It's all over rib, and I think this yarn will be a good fit because it is very light and drapey and summery, but will hopefully have some kind of strength to not stretch out the rib to infinity and back. We'll see. Then I have a very interesting yarn. I bought this last year with a pattern in mind, but then it didn't work out. This is Lino Muka or Muka, I'm not entirely sure. It is 100% linen by Voln Berlin. I believe this is from Lithuania. Yes. and it is a light fingering weight, 100% linen. It is so thin. Let me just try and pick out a strand. I would say that that is lace weight. I wouldn't even consider this as a fingering weight. It is absolutely minuscule. And the label actually tells you when you hold it with more than one strand what you will get. So held single 20 stitches, held double 25 stitches, and held triple 20 stitches. I have a lot of this yarn because I wanted to make the Cumulus tee for my mum last year, but then it felt really rough and I didn't want to make that for my mum as the first knitted garment for her birthday, so I held on to it. And now that the Audrey top by Petite Knit also uses 100% linen yarn, I thought this might actually be a good fit. I would just have to hold it triple. I'm not a huge light pink fan, so this colour is not my usual colour choice, I would say, because it's just really close to my skin tone. But I think for just a really simple halter neck top like the Audrey top is, I think it might be a good fit. And then I have more woolly kind of yarn again. Let's do this one first. This is Camarose. I have no idea how to pronounce this. I said this a million times last year and I'm sure I didn't pronounce it correctly once. It is a mix of 70% merino wool and 30% organic cotton. It is very soft. I've not worked with this before. I also just wanted to buy it and try it out. And this one is the colour 2009, probably. I don't know how to say this colour. You would have to either just take the colour code, or you might be from Denmark and be able to read it. I'm not, I can't read that. It is a very nice blue greyish yarn. I want to make the Helix top by Iris Makes. I bought this last year because I wanted to participate in her cal that she hosts every year with her summer top designs. I just never got around to it, but you need exactly one ball of yarn for the size that I want to make, and I'm not sure if that will actually happen, but I think it might be a very nice top. It's just because it's 70% merino wool and only 30% cotton is why I'm so hesitant about it, because even though it is a strappy top, it is very fitted, and I'm not sure if I will actually wear the top with such a high wool content in the yarn. And then I have the same yarn in a different colour. This is colour 2036 Milk Senep. No idea. At least I can read that a little bit better. And I have 5 or 6 balls of this. I don't have a specific pattern in mind, but I do want to make a slip over. I think it would look really nice just to have a simple slip over, maybe a v-neck, maybe a high neck. I'm thinking something along those lines of the Semper slip over from the Knit Pearl Girl. I already have that pattern. Or the terrazzo slip over, is that what it's called? I made that last year for a friend as a slip over. I just shorten it. So I also have that pattern, and I could also use that yarn for that. But this will be a slip over. And then the last yarn in the odd section is Isager. No idea how to pronounce that. Please, if you are from Denmark and you know how to pronounce it, I think everyone in the knitting community would greatly appreciate if you could just tell us once and for all how to pronounce this name. Is it Isager, Isager? I don't know. This is Highland wool in the colour Grease. You get 275 meters, so it is a fingering weight yarn. It is absolutely incredible. I love this colour, and what I want to make with it is the first sweater by Hive Knits. I do need some mohair for this, and that is why I haven't started yet, because I did want to reduce the mohair intake in my sweaters and focus more on the woolly knits than just or not just, but then sweaters with mohair in it, because it's just an extra expense that I wasn't willing to spend at the time, and also because I couldn't find a great mohair. But with this, I want to pair it with a Furcolana Tilia mohair, because Rebecca Clow, the Career Bear, made a, was it also the first sweater? It could have been the same one, but she's made one in a similar colour to this, and it looks incredible. It's like this really deep navy, greeny, bluey sweater, and I want to recreate it with this yarn. So that will be the first sweater. Never worked brioche before, or half fisherman's rib, I think you have on the sleeves. We'll see when I'm gonna cast this on. And now for the last section, my hand-dyed yarns. First one I've showed in a podcast video once before as well. This is Woodland Fibre Arts in her silk and merino base. This is the colour Daydream. It is 50% a superwash merino and 50% silk, and it is super drapey. It's a very, very gorgeous hang, or just yarn in general. I have two of this, and I want to make a ranunculus out of it. I'm not sure if this is the best idea, because it is very heavily speckled and a very big colour difference, not only between the first and the second skein, but also in the skein itself. So I'm not sure if it will actually work out, or just drown the pattern from the ranunculus, like all the lace and stuff in it, which is a bit of a concern of mine, but I think this still might just be a good fit. If not, then I'm thinking maybe another Allura camisole by Kadri, something simple, because it is a fingering weight yarn. Let me just check. Yeah, you get 400 meters in it, so it is a fingering weight yarn. Maybe that, I don't know. The next hand-dyed yarn is both from Olivia and Oliver Fibres. This is what they look like. I don't have the hanks anymore. I already caked everything up, because at the time I wanted to start the sweater, but then just didn't get around to it. This will be the Ali sweater. I forgot the designer. I think it was something like S Knits. I could be wrong on that. But it is a beautiful pattern design. I've had my eye on this for forever, and I just tried to find the perfect colour combination that I liked. This is the merino base in DK weight. This is the colour Shell, and this is the colour Mahogany. I really don't know how to pronounce that. I always forget that word. Something like that. It is a very, very nice and variegated yarn, as you can see, and I think those two would give it a high enough contrast to work really nicely. This is another one of those autumn knits that I would like to get started on. Maybe not right now, but when I had a look through the pattern, it felt very overwhelming with a lot of charts and a lot of things to do. I know a lot of people really like the pattern and how detailed it is and everything, but on first glance it just felt a bit overwhelming to me. So I have to get back to that pattern when I have a bit more time, I feel a bit more relaxed, and also feel up to a challenge. And then the last hand-dyed yarn that I have is, this is a sock base, I believe, or it's called like Marshmallow Sock by, I bought this in England, I forgot, I do have the label, I do have the label somewhere, I have to just put it in here. Lovely lady, I'm really sorry I forgot the name. I have two of these are also very variegated. You have pinks and lighter pinks, almost whites and purples, so very variegated. It is 100% merino wool. I think it's super wash, probably because it's hand dyed. And for this yarn, I'm either thinking Salty Air Tea or Ranunculus. But again, with Ranunculus, I have to alternate skeins because those two are very different and I don't want it to look super odd. But at the same time, I'm kind of sick of alternating skeins. Like, I just want to knit without having to think about it. So I'm not sure when I'm gonna cast this on. I've had this for ages now, and every time I look at it I think, oh, I really want to work with it, but what can you do? You have so many projects planned, as we saw today. Alright, these are all of the plans that I have for my yarn. I know it is quite a lot and I probably won't be able to plow through all of those plans. I might not even have the same plans anymore in like a few months because new patterns come out. But I am so glad you could join me again. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you did. Stay tuned for the next video after my podcast, when I'm gonna put all of this yarn back on the shelf because it is all on the floor. So if you like organizing videos, like organizing yarn stash, stay tuned for that, and I hope you have a good day, and I'm gonna see you later. Happy knitting, bye.